Did you know over 90% of podcast listeners take direct action on the advertising they hear? It's smart, right? And smart advertisers know Acast. We power thousands of podcasts all around the world, including the one you're listening to right now. If you want to reach immersed listeners in lots of different creative ways, then Acast's fully curated, brand-safe marketplace is for you. Visit acast.com/advertisers to find out more. Acast, for the stories.
Hi guys, so you're very good friends with Marianne.
I am, yes, which is something that comes up. And she was living in Paris for a long time, and so we weren't really in touch so much. But she's been back here for a bit, and she's been having a very hard time. So I've been actually keeping an eye on her, sort of, if you like, over COVID, trying to check up on her because she had it very badly.
Yeah,
hospital and all that. But she's as ever bounced back amazingly, and has just done this fantastic album.
But she's still weak, obviously.
She's still a bit weak, yeah. But she was very, very happy to chat to us, and which was nice. And she's got a lot to say.
So I just want to explain. You with Marianne this time, not in a separate room, and you're sitting next to her, and you're and that's how we're going to do the interview. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, she's nicely tucked up with her travel rug, which we got her actually. And so I'm just sat with her. We'll just be on the computer, and just having a bit of a chat. So.
Well, what an icon she is. So this is the interview we did. Welcome to the Raconteurs.
Okay, guys, I'm ready.
This was great, guys. It's so great to talk to two guys that have done this.
Well, it's a big tune for sure. I actually wrote that originally for Tina Turner.
Of course, I had gone and found Joni Mitchell down in Florida and brought her back.
What people forget about Bowie is that he was such a kind man.
I've listened to a few of them and they've been really good, man. I'm sitting in the back of the car coming into London. They're brilliant.
Remember me? I'm in a band now. It's called Roxy Music.
You know this thing about the 10,000 hours of experience?
Oh, yeah.
Get good at something. When we recorded Arnold Lane, we'd done about 50 hours.
The Raconteurs podcast with Gary Kemp and Guy Pratt.
Hello, Marianne.
Hello.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Pleasure.
I absolutely adore your new album.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, just some extraordinary readings of poems that I thought I knew, expressed in a way that seems so full of experience. And
I suppose it is, really.
Excuse me, Guy. You want coffee with milk?
Yes, please. Yes.
Me too, Guy.
It's going to be like this. It's fun. I like it. And I know
we're raging storm here as well, which is it's all very poetic. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Can I ask how you chose those particular poems?
They're not all my favourites, but they are my basic favourites. I really love Keats. I love them all. They are my favourites, yeah.
And this came from school, didn't it? Was it school that you...
In first year sixth form, I was studying it with my English teacher, who was really good. And we were doing 19th century English romantic poetry. And so I kept all that in my head all these years. And now came the opportunity, because of Warren, really.
Warren Ellis.
Make a record. He didn't really know these poems or understand them properly.
But it's something you had thought about for a long time, wasn't it?
Yes, it is. It's been a dream. We could never have got this past Chris Blackwell.
Oh, really? Chris, who run Island Records?
Yes.
But, I think you've made some of the most definitive readings of those particular poems. I can't imagine them. You have. Imagine hearing those in any other way. Your life experience seems to really enhance poems like Autumn, or Ode to a Nightingale, or Bridge of Sighs. I mean, Bridge of Sighs. Bridge of Sighs is an extraordinary guy. That this idea, really of a woman's death is it. I mean, given what had gone on with COVID last year for you as well.
Oh well, yeah, I did nearly die.
Yeah.
And you had all sorts of other things. Yeah. So Marianne has been through a hell of a lot the last couple of years.
I'm really ill, actually. I've got terrible arthritis as well. I don't know how I'm sitting there. Really.
Your spirit is indomitable as ever. That's why.
But and also, I felt that Keats has been an important thing in your life because you did negative capability, didn't you? Which I know as being a phrase that Keats used. That negative.
He was talking about Shakespeare.
Really?
Yes, he was saying what negative capability is the ability to see one thing from all different angles and express it. And Shakespeare had that in spades.
And it was also, my understanding is that, he was sort of saying, well, an artist doesn't want to know how the rainbow is made. He just needs to talk about the rainbow in an aesthetic fashion.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we getting a bit of what you aspire to here, Gary?
I think so. And I think, when you look at Marianne's life, it's not, you can't say she's an actor, you can't say she's a singer or a songwriter. Something much more aesthetic about her whole art is her life.
Well, that's kind of how I wanted it to be.
Well, it certainly has been. When I first really knew about you, I remember as a kid, late night TV, seeing Girl on a Motorbike. And it was the raunchiest thing I'd ever seen in my life. I was shocked, I tell you.
In England, of course.
Yes.
And how do you know each other? Because, Guy, you're sitting there with Marianne right now in her house.
We actually met in Miami because I'd written a song with Alex James for Marianne, and the only way we could get to a vocal was by flying to Miami. And so I went to Miami and I met Marianne, and we just really hit it off and in fact, I wrote a song with Marianne called The Wilder Shores of Love.
Which is a lovely song.
On the Vagabond Ways album. And we've just been friends ever since.
We became very good friends. Yeah. And we have to see each other every now and again.
We do.
How did you write together? What was the process?
I was terrible. Shouting, screaming.
It was pretty much like that, yeah.
I do remember where the title came from for The Wilder Shores of...
From a book.
It was a book that you had, The Wilder Shores of Love, but we were talking about Anita, and I asked you what you thought of her boyfriend at the time.
Yeah.
And you said, well, he seems to take her to the wilder shores of love.
That's what she told me. And I asked her. I said to her, so what is the point?
So everything is also
What is the point of Joey? And she said, he takes me to the wilder shores of love.
Right. You didn't have to name him.
Right.
But really, you two, you and Anita, were that was an amazing scene. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what a friendship. I mean, how did you meet?
I think we met in Rome. In those days, in the early days, Mick and Keith were really tight.
As in good friends.
Wanted Mick to go to Rome. He did,
Oh, that's nice.
What?
That's nice.
Yeah.
And so what year would that have been?
Oh, God. 66.
Oh, between 66. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was going out with Brian at the time, or was she? Okay.
When I first met her, yes, she was going out with Brian. But then I was with them, and so was Mick. We were in Tangier, and Brian used to beat her up. And Anita used to beat him up back, actually. But I guess I wasn't in the room when it happened. Christopher Gibbs and Mick and me, Christopher said, get out of here. This is not a good scene. And he was right, because the tension in the room with Brian, Keith, Anita, and poor Michael Cooper got so bad. And in the end, Keith is very romantic, of course. Keith just grabbed Anita and took her away.
Wow.
And they got into his Bentley and drove off, leaving Brian in bits, of course.
And of course, then Anita came between Mick and Keith because of performance. So when she appeared in that.
Yeah.
But was it as an actor yourself? Were you a little bit, that should have been my part?
Glad it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because you were really a stage performer, weren't you?
Well, yeah. All these things you're saying about my life and my work are really more applicable to Anita than to me.
Oh, that's interesting.
Really?
Could you explain that a bit?
Well, to her, what happened, if it was real and wasn't on the stage, was much more important. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I find it very hard to describe.
But her life was very dramatic.
It was, and very important to her. You know?
And was that whole Rolling Stone circle? Was it something that felt like almost a distraction for you at times?
Well, yes, of course it did. I couldn't really work at all, and it wasn't enough for me just to live life, I'm afraid.
Were you? Was that partly? Did Mick not want you to work, or?
No, he was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't want the
Keith didn't like her to work.
Oh, that's interesting.
Can you take this off for me?
Yes.
Because I'm getting hot.
Let us know if you get tired, Marianne.
No, I'm all, it's not me, really. It's my throat, my lungs.
And has it been like that since you came out from COVID?
COVID, yeah.
Have you been vaccinated now? I take it.
Oh, yes, twice.
Oh, good. I mean, you know,
lateral flow test this morning before I came here.
Oh, God.
Guy, we can't help be fascinated by those times, and in a way, those times, and I can see why I think you're drawn to the romantic poets, Marianne, because they had a similar. There was a similar.
Well, they were a much earlier version.
Yeah.
Well, also, I always thought there was a thing about that whole 60s world where, with the whole rock and roll thing, was basically you had a load of working class kids being able to behave the way those sort of upper class characters had all along, like back in the 18th century. It was to basically take drugs like Byron, or, you know.
That's 19th
century.
Yeah. That's right. But did you grew up in a commune, though, didn't you? Is that true?
I went to school in a convent.
In a commune.
A commune. Oh, right.
Which is
my father. Yes.
But that's before, because communes is something we associate with that whole 60s.
It's nothing.
Kind of world,
it wasn't a 60s commune.
Yeah.
It was a 40s commune.
What is it? What was it like?
It was like one of the bad things that happened after COVID is my lungs, my memory, and tiredness. These are the three things that really affect me, and it's an awful drug. I can't remember her name. It's a writer from the 40s, but it really was like a 40s commune. It was a school for integrative social research.
That sounds...
It doesn't sound like a 60s commune.
But were they trying, see what it was like for people to live together in one place as opposed to conventional life?
But was it family units and stuff?
No.
It wasn't?
Oh, no. Oh. It was anybody.
Was there a free love about it?
No, none. I mean, there might have been. I was really little, I was like 6 or something.
Yeah. But no, it's interesting, though, that you started off in what isn't a conventional way. And
oh, no, it wasn't.
And
my mother didn't like it.
Right. She was a ballet dancer, was she not?
She was a dancer, both kinds. She was in the corps de ballet of Max Reinhardt. And then after the ballet finished, she went on with her partner, Hader, and they played cabaret. So she did two kinds of dances.
Highbrow and lowbrow.
Yes.
You certainly inherited that then, haven't you?
I think so,
Yeah.
I was never snobby, I don't buy all that. When you were talking about upper class, working class, I never bought into that.
No, but that's what the 60s was
I know.
about. It was a thing
and I think Anita
all
understood all that too. But I didn't care.
And it was because there was a reason why a lot of those guys in the art, like Bailey and Kane and Jagger, called themselves by their first names, because it was it was like upper class people did. Because before then, working class people were just called Alf.
I don't know.
But I mean, listen, you're in this amazing scene with the Indica Indigo Gallery, and that to us that's just
that was really fascinating. Yeah, and watching Yoko and John fall in love, that was really fascinating.
But because your husband introduced them, didn't he, at the time?
He did introduce them, yeah.
And in the fullness of time, do you think that was a wise move?
Yes, I do. I really like Yoko. I like her a lot. She's been terribly kind to me.
Oh, that's good.
Did you stay in touch?
A bit, yeah. I'm not really very social at all anymore.
No one is.
Well, no, it is. Yeah, but I'm too ill to do that.
Yes, I know, because you were very good friends with my ex-wife, Sadie Frost.
Oh, yes. I love Sadie, but I haven't seen her for so long.
She's very well.
Good. Will you give her my love?
I will.
Yeah.
I think what we probably want to know, guys, well, is you this, what, you were beginning, you're an actor, maybe you're married to this important gallery person, and then you meet Mick. And, I know
my life turned upside down for 4 years. It was only 4 years. I'm glad. I mean, I don't regret it.
Yeah.
But it was difficult.
It's one way of putting it.
Yeah.
But that thing of just being at the absolute epicenter of, swinging London. Because
I never realised
what were you doing before? You'd been singing in sort of folk clubs before you went to the momentous party where you met Andrew.
The House of the Rising Sun.
Tell me, I don't know about the meeting of Andrew.
It was a party. It was Adrian Poster's launching party. And I went with John and Peter Asher, actually. And there at the party was Andrew Oldham, Mick and Keith, and probably Brian. I don't remember.
And apart from that, was it a good party?
It was all right, yeah. What I was really interested in, because I was really hungry, was the food. It was great food.
Yeah, of course. You forget that when you're a young, starving artist.
Yeah.
Actually, food features quite heavily.
So
when you go to, how was the gig? It was great. There was tons of sandwiches backstage.
Yeah.
They wrote their first song, did they? Didn't Andrew lock them in a room, Mick and Keith, and said,
yeah.
As tears go by?
Well, that's the song they wrote when they were locked in the room, yeah.
Was it meant to be for you from the start, or was it for them?
Musicians always do that, This one's for you, baby. When they want to see you.
I've got a song.
Yeah. And of course you told me it was for me, and I've always believed that.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
It's a strange song.
In that case, you are responsible for the Jagger-Richards songwriting partnership.
No.
Well, if you think about it, if that's the first song they wrote, you started this.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew needed a song for me. That's all.
Well, then you did.
Oh
my God.
Bother it.
But it's a funny song, isn't it? Because it's not really a song lyrically for a young girl to be singing. It feels like...
Very odd song for a 17-year-old girl to be singing. Actually, I was older than that. Sorry. I was 19. A big girl, 19.
Oh. Because I thought you were only 16 when you met.
No. I was 17 when I married John. Then I was 18 when I had Nicholas. Then I left John, took Nicholas, went off with Mick, and I was 19.
But that's extraordinarily young to get married.
Everybody.
But I suppose back then it was much more, was it?
Well, I was pregnant, wasn't I?
Well, I dare say you were. But...
Yes, shotgun.
Is that what it was?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, we forget that stuff was all, much more important, wasn't it?
I think what we don't realise, because everybody in rock and roll now is all ages.
Yeah.
That there's that, and you go to a festival like Glastonbury, and it's every age there. Mm-hmm. And what you and I never experienced, Guy, because we are the generation after, is the sense of revolution that it must have had.
Yeah. It was all being made up. I remember that very well. It was, we were making it up as we went along.
Like when we saw Bowie or Jagger or Tazza or whoever turn 40 or whatever, it was like no one had ever seen a rock star turn 40. It was like, what do they do?
Well, they've seen Elvis.
That's true. Well, he didn't get far past.
He died.
We never thought they were going to be on stage at 75.
No.
It's time to discover your new summer essentials with FabFitFun, the only subscription box service delivering full-size self-care and wellness products straight to your door. Whether it's the perfect beach blanket, a handy wine chiller, or aloe vera gel, FabFitFun has you covered for all your fun in the sun needs. FabFitFun is more than just an incredible value. It's me time in a box. Visit FabFitFun.com for 50% off of your first box while supplies last when you use code TREAT. That's FabFitFun.com, code TREAT.
Did you know over 90% of podcast listeners take direct action on the advertising they hear? It's smart, right? And smart advertisers know Acast. We power thousands of podcasts all around the world, including the one you're listening to right now. If you want to reach immersed listeners in lots of different creative ways, then Acast's fully curated, brand-safe marketplace is for you. Visit acast.com/advertisers to find out more. Acast, for the stories.
We were just discussing that Tangiers trip.
Yeah.
Is that where Cecil Beaton turned up?
Yeah.
See, I told you.
What was he like? Because he was the generation before you guys, and he was the bright young things. And in a way, you were the new bright young things, weren't you?
Yeah. I liked him, and obviously Mick liked him because he was in love with him. Yeah, everyone. He was great.
But was there a feeling of being...
No.
You don't know what I was going to say.
I know what you were going to say.
What was I
Passing the baton.
No, I wasn't going to say that.
What?
No, I was going to say more. Wasn't there a feeling, a rejection of that sort of previous generation?
Not really, no.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
Well, I told you, didn't
all
you?
admired and respected.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm very glad to hear it.
We did.
Marianne, did you ever have a moment where you thought, damn, I wished I'd never done that music because I really wanted just to be an actor?
Yeah, I had those moments. But, I did so many different things.
Now, Gareth just reminded me
that,
and I didn't know this because I remember years ago you played me a Roger Waters demo of a song that you were going to do, which I didn't know was about Syd Barrett.
I think it was.
Yeah, what was it called? It was called...
a Flower Child.
Something
Incarceration.
Incarceration of a Flower Child. Great song.
Yeah,
it is a great song. I listened to it recently, and it's about Syd Barrett. It's very Roger Waters melody, but it feels like it could also be about your own life in a way. It's
and he knows that. Yeah. He's very clever, old Roger.
You played one of the characters in The Wall, didn't you? When you
but I didn't do it well.
Oh, really?
I played the mother. I was really bad.
Yeah, well, the mother's got to be deeply unpleasant.
Well, I was. Yeah.
Marianne, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but what's interesting when you read your story, is when it says about you being on the streets in Soho and homeless and all of that period in your life. And how do you look back on that for you now? Is it still with?
I thought it was a great, brave thing to do, actually. And the street people looked after me, and nobody knew my address. And it was my statement, really, of coming out of that world with the Stones and Anita and everything.
Yes, the opposite of that.
It was a very strong kind of fuck you all thing.
Yeah.
Well, actually, talking about no one knowing your address, he might have, because Gary actually has Brian Epstein's address book, which has your phone number in it.
No. Not on the wall.
I did. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Because I just think there's also, your interest in sort of cabaret, like Kurt Weill and Threepenny Opera, and
comes from my mother, from my parents. I had that sort of family.
In fact, the last thing I saw you in was at the Barbican. What was it? Richard Strange was in it.
Yeah.
What was it? Did you play the devil or God or
I played
one of them?
The devil.
You played the devil very, very well.
Thank you.
What was that? That was like a Weimar type thing.
Yeah, but it wasn't. But I can't remember what.
This is great. She was in it. I saw her. Neither of us know what it was.
Yeah.
It was at the Barbican anyway. Marvelous.
It was, yeah.
We should talk about your kind of that great album you made, if you don't mind, Marianne, is with Broken English. That I remember that really was a big thing in our scene, going to the Blitz Club where we went, I started going straight. Yes, with Anita. I remember. When I first went in there, the music they were playing was sort of Kraftwerk, Nina Hagen, Gina X, and Broken English.
Yeah.
That album was on the deck. We were dancing to that because it had an electronica about it, didn't it?
Yeah,
totally. I was listening to it on the way here, and because it completely brought you into that generation.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm so glad.
It was almost like the sort of run up to Nightclubbing by Grace Jones. It was that, it was like
it was sort of at the same
but
time.
Brutal. I mean, we've never heard such language on a record, Marianne.
But also, Marianne, one of your first albums, you made two at the beginning. One was a folk album, and that had Down the Sally Gardens by Yeats on it.
And I also did readings on that album of Full Fathom 5.
Oh, yes.
And I did the Jabberwocky from Lewis Carroll, Alice.
But no, I just, there's definitely a symmetry in your life, a through line. And
I'm glad you see it. I don't. It's like at the moment, having to take this whole flat apart and give away all my books. And I feel like such a failure. I can't.
Well, I think that you might feel that if you hadn't have just made what I just said to you earlier is an incredible piece of work.
I'm really proud of it. At the same time as that, my life is falling apart and I've lost my health. It's terrible. Can we change the subject?
Yes.
I can't do much more.
That's all right, then. Do you want to stop?
Yeah.
Do you want to stop? Yeah.
I do.
It's getting tired.
I can't go on.
No, it's fine. Don't worry. It's all right. You're done.
So I felt sort of guilty in some of those in some moments during that guide that we were sort of bothering her, but I because she's obviously a little weak, and but she really wanted to do this.
She did really want to do it. I mean, she made it clear to me that she was, she said I won't be able to do all that long and I'll get tired, but yeah, she was perfectly happy, and it was nice. I stayed, had a nice cup of tea with her afterwards.
But it was quite emotional, I thought, towards the end.
Yes, it was. Well, and it's nice because you clearly really understood her poetry record, which is great, which is also doing very, very well by all accounts, having spoken to her about it. And so that's really nice.
Well, I do. And I think it's a really powerful piece of work. And I think anyone who hasn't heard it should download or buy now. Anyway, thank you for listening to this episode. We will be here next week and we need your support. And thank you for all of that.
Absolutely. So it's good night from me.
And it's good night from those two on the sofa.
Acast powers some of the world's best podcasts. Here's a show we recommend.
Hi, I'm Brooke DeVardo-Zeidenly, and I am obsessed with all things beauty, skincare, and wellness. I created Naked Beauty to interview the women I admire about their approach to beauty and self-care. Some of my previous guests include Gabrielle Union, Hannah Brofman, and Denise Vazzi, all incredible women, and what I really try to get to the heart of is why do they make the beauty decisions they make? How do they think about their skincare routine? How do they think about self-expression and self-presentation? And how did the way they grew up inform the way that they approach beauty today? If you love beauty and you love getting to know incredible women, you should probably be listening to Naked Beauty. New episodes every Monday wherever you listen to podcasts. That's Naked Beauty.
Acast recommends.